Welcome back to Trekyards, everybody. He is Commander Cockings.
He's kind of Foley.
And I'm feeling Gorny today. How about you, Samuel?
I'm going to be wild.
Did you have your Gorn flakes this morning?
I don't have a second one. I wasn't remember two in a row. You had two in a row. Good job. Well done, you.
We're talking about the Gorn. If you haven't figured that out yet. Yeah, they got Gorn, and adult Gorn specifically, in a spacesuit in Stranger Worlds Season 2 finale. Hegemony. And the Gorn hegemony is just cool in itself. Just Gorn hegemony just sounds ominous, right? So
yes. And this is a long time coming because the biggest complaint, of course, about the Gorn in Season 1 is that they're just aliens from Alien, but green. And it was hard to connect dots. And even if and when we'd seen an adult Gorn, it was an interesting choice, right? But it's likely that going forward, we will most likely see adult Gorn exclusively. Thematically, right? Like, you evolve into that. So you can this back burner thing we did. So this is a full thing. And to the shock, and do we believe it, it was almost entirely a practical guy in a practical suit. Which is interesting, because it's hard to tell in the episode.
Speaking of, this is like our first detailed breakdown and look at, but we will be doing a more in-depth follow-up, looking at behind-the-scenes stuff as well. We're just not going to include that in today's. This is just like a first reaction, kind of first look.
This is used in the episode. Let's talk about it, then we're going to look at the extra cool stuff. But of course, let's remind ourselves, this is what we presented in Season 1 as the Gorn.
Oh, God. Yep.
Yes.
A xenomorph, essentially.
I mean, it's green. There's some vague Gorn. It's a crocodile-esque, not really head, right? This time, this next shot. Oh wait, no, these are real Gorn, like classic Gorn. Just to remind yourselves, you have the 1966 Gorn from TOS, the Intima Darkly alternate universe, yes, Gorn CG, and the double down on the classic Gorn from Lower Deck. So these are the three Gorns we've seen in the Prime, or in the, well, yes, Prime at Mirror. Gorn. Really consistent-ish with a visual update, obviously in Enterprise, but you see the connection, you see the logic, there's a flow, it's just more advanced, cool. I accept it, I accept both, I would love to see both, right? Works for me.
Yeah. And before people start typing in the comments, don't worry, we'll talk about Game Gorn soon. Because they exist as well.
Yeah, GG all, GG. So the next shot is the first look, where I have rotated the shots to best match our perspective, because of course he is upside down. Full length Gorn shot and close up. Now, set the scene though, before you say what you think, and what do you think?
Well, this was, somebody was trying to access systems on the ship, and Chapel thought it was Spock. Glad she didn't yell Spock. She did say Spock, but she didn't yell Spock. And turns out it was a Gorn trying to access systems or do whatever. So, intelligence, we love that, not just animalistic. And yeah, at first glance, I was like, ooh, this is neat. You got a Gorn in a spacesuit. I was super happy to see that because I wanted to see an adult Gorn. And I was hoping we get better views without the suit in this episode, but here we are. I was excited. How about you?
I love the introduction. Really, really smart. I was hoping for that twist inside the moment, because you cannot get more subtext than, it isn't punching a console, it isn't trying to rip stuff out like an animal, it's just pushing the buttons, getting a combination. Super basic. Bring it down to our level, right? There's only so many designs you can design, right? And the full body shot is incredibly close to the Halo Elite armor. Like so close. You could take out the tail, and you could convince 95% of Halo fans this is a new design for Sengeli thing. I love that armor, so I'm fine with it. But it's bad lit, right? It's a dark, but it's so close, the silhouette. Close up, I was like, oh, okay, is that the head of the baby big, or is that a new head? I don't think that's a new head. Okay, new to us to analyze. Good. I kind of thought they were going to play the alien card and it slink away and not appear again. I'm like, oh, that's our tease. Luckily, no, we get a giant fight. But no, I was pretty happy. It does take you a distinct moment to realize it's a spacesuit, because it's so form-fitting, it's so to the elements of the person, right? You know, all the but then yeah, you see a spacesuit, and it's like, of course. I wouldn't have been super surprised if they'd made the Gorn retconningly able to survive zero-G, lack of air. I could have seen that and be like, oh. But this gives us that proper spacefaring vibe that we desperately needed. Because it's a pretty cool spacesuit.
Yeah, well, they did establish earlier that like the nitrogen grenades, any like cold will Gorn are cold-blooded. That would kill them. So it definitely has to be wearing a suit in space. So yeah,
yeah, it was good. Here though is a hell of a collage with some, because boy, you got to pick the in-focus shots and also brighten them.
You know what I'm going to say right now?
What are you
We're talking about it looking like the alien, the xenomorph. Now it looks like a cross between a xenomorph and Predator. I mean, that first shot in the upper left looks like a Predator helmet. No, but it's a very aggressive looking species, at least the suit. The suit seems a little form-fitting, even with the spikes on the tail. But, I mean, we've seen nanotechnology type deals before where you just hit the button and you get a suit. I assume that's what this is. Yeah, exactly. I didn't think the Gorn would be necessarily that advanced to be able to do that. But here we are. Because I don't know, getting into that suit and getting all the tail spikes in those little slots just seems like an odd choice. I think the spacesuit would be bulkier, is what I'm saying.
I mean, it depends who evolved to do what. If the Gorn know that there are less habitable environments for them, and it's harder for them to interact with non-Gorn design environments, as in like spaceships, and I can imagine they might focus on a more battle-ready, because you can't battle in a spacesuit, most spacesuits, right? Like, effectively, so they combine spacesuit with battlesuit, hence form-fitting. Versus the ones we see in Star Trek are more conventional spacesuit first. So there's a difference in vibe. So I can buy it mostly, but like I say, it feels extremely like the Halo monster. Once you notice the Gorn head, it's like, oh, okay, there's a green dude inside. But the rest of the silhouette is extremely close. I do quite like the side profile view. That looks like an alien, but with a green head. There's those reflective black, fabric things, and also the tail is very alien-like. I mean, they even do an alien shot. They know they're doing it. They're having fun, right? It can't get more alien than literally a shot from Alien, or a shot where there's two put their heads together. Also a shot from Alien 3. Like they're going full on, right? Luckily, they didn't go acid blood. They didn't go. Yeah, they visually it's that, but I see a Gorn inside of it, which is the most important thing, right? I do see a Gorn silhouette inside of a giant, very black spacesuit in a black set with no lighting. Boy, these shots are bland. But apart from that,
I do got to admit, once it passed away and was like floating away, I love that shot. The one on the right there, very almost Godzilla-like, actually.
But really harsh. Like, that thing's suffocating to death. The graphic would end.
Poor scientist guy that was sent over to retrieve some tech from the ship. Gotta feel bad for him and his 5 million offspring.
You didn't think all Gorn were warriors, did you?
Exactly.
Maybe this Gorn was a chef. Yeah, maybe his great grandson was meant to sell shawarma and a kebab on a space station. Maybe. The next shot though is of course the comparison we've been waiting for. This is the canon modernized Gorn with the canon modernized Gorn from today. Thoughts?
Very, very similar for sure. There's one or two close-ups of it inside the helmet, which just looked like a juvenile, just kind of a few shapes changed a little bit, which I don't have an issue with, but I can see the similarities here for sure. And a lot of people point out that there's many different species on planets or different regions that the Gorns could look different from continent to continent on their world. Who knows?
Although all Andorians have white hair and blue skin. Because the Enar are not Andorians, they're a subspecies. Like
true, but they are a subspecies, so there could be subspecies of Gorn on their world. So, yeah, well,
who were kept underground and didn't see sun. That's why their skin is gone.
I'm just saying, because we've been called out for that before, saying that different species. That's fine, but these ones look very similar, and I don't have a problem with the Enterprise Gorn. A lot of people do. I thought the CG was a good,
At the time,
well, not good CG necessarily, but a good representation of how a TOS one would look in CG. The CG could have been better. So a lot of people complain about the design. I think the design's fantastic. Just the CG could have been tweaked a bit, so.
yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I have nothing to... what's really interesting, though, what makes this really, really fun is that they've put him back in a suit. It's a guy in a suit. This is a full CG Gorn, so the proportions don't match a human. Now, they do match a human, obviously, with the caveat of the arms can be, an extra half foot, right? There's slight proportional differences, but basically, there's a person in there, like in the Predator film. So, if they place a full Predator with a CG Predator, you'd ruin it. Like, the guy in the suit is what grounds it fundamentally in the performance, etc. So, I see this too, and I see a pretty, at least, not aesthetic, but I see a parity here that we're not even remotely seeing with the season 1. Fundamentally though, it's just a crocodile that on 2 legs, right? Like there's not much to pull from that in the abstract. But you look at these two, it's like, yeah, okay. Although, boy, I'm assuming then there isn't really a tail in that body. That's just a tail, a weapon, because this Gorn has no tail, like no notable tail, and the one from TOS certainly didn't as well. So when do they suddenly get 9-foot tails? It could just be a weapon.
Well, the younglings have tails. Now it could be one of the species that, as they grow up, the tail falls off or is not needed anymore. Especially if they're bipedal, which I assume the adults would be, and it appears with the way this thing has been moving around that it is indeed bipedal. I'm sure it could probably run on all 4s as well, like very quickly. But yeah,
you know what I mean? They never had tails in a meaningful way. So it's weird to add a giant alien tail, which makes it feel like an alien. But if it's a weapon, then that's them saying, T-Nus have this great advantage. They have phasers. We have phasers. They have tails. I buy it. Now here is the close-up view, which of course we looked at the vibe. Here is now this. I did manage to capture 2 good angles. This is like 3 frames, the bottom view, before he stabbed him in the face. So it's extremely clear. Yay. And I put the original Gorn on, just for good measure. What do you think now? Because this is the actual Gorn design bit.
Uh-huh. Well, the mouth and teeth are very reminiscent of the juveniles that we've seen much of in Strange New Worlds. But the eyes, I love the similarity of the eyes, like having the slits, like the Enterprise one. Yeah, this is great. Like, these are really good shots of it. And I can't wait to see one out of the spacesuit.
Mm-hmm. So. Hopefully not. Hopefully a mannequin, a guy in a suit would be really interesting to see, because that would so well ground it and allow them to be actual characters. No, I'm actually relatively pleased with this. It's far better than season 1. I do certainly wish they had any element of these grills, because that is one of the 2 art designs kind of the piece. They aren't here, so it gives it a much more sleek, flat vibe. A little bit of that would have been nice, just to kind of. But I teeth. But I see a lot of other things here. I'm relatively happy. Like, it's not the same, but it feels more appropriate to me.
And even those ridges, you can argue maybe develop the older they get. So the one in Arena is older than the one in
as a captain.
Strange New Worlds, and the one in Enterprise is even older than the one from Arena. They just get bigger,
Yeah, I see potential for variation. Although I'm getting this suit, and the creature's probably very expensive, so they're not going to make necessarily many. But yeah, I see potential here. I'm overall pleased, which is not where I was in season 1, so that's good. And the next shot, of course, is the Stuart Foley requested shot. So talk to the audience.
There is a game called Star Trek for the PlayStation, which was released after the 2009 Kelvin film, where you actually have Gorn on the ship, on the Enterprise, and I always loved the Gorn design in that game. That game, despite what you think of the Kelvin verse in general, that game is fantastic and really fun, especially if you play it with 2 people. The AI is kind of stupid. But anyway, the Gorn in that, as soon as I saw the Gorn suit in this episode, I immediately thought of the Gorn from the game. And here you got a picture of it. It's very similar vibe head-wise to what we see in Strange New Worlds here. So I don't know if they took any kind of cues from that or whatever, but it's a very realistic approach for the Gorn, I think. And there you go. I wanted to include them because that's instantly what I thought of. And I did appreciate the Gorn being in the game because it added a new element to the Trek lore. It was an updated Gorn. And there you go. It's even got spikes on its back. Not the same, but it's got like almost like feather quills on its back. And if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about.
I prefer the Stranger Worlds one, which I'm happy I can say that.
Uh-huh.
You know, the
But
game.
you can see the similarities between the two, yeah?
I mean, they're green. Not particularly, honestly. It's a different shape to me. It's not as sleek. Fatter face, bigger mouth, different sort of teeth.
But look at the skin details on the face, the small eyes, this brow ridge here. Like, there's a lot of similarities. The teeth are a little bit sharper and bigger. They're not so needle-like the Strange New Worlds one, but other than that, I think they look a lot alike.
It doesn't look anything like the Into the Mirror Darkly one at all. Like, there's a slightly more vibe towards the TOS one with just how compressed the face kind of is. But they're not trying to be Gorn. They're trying to be, look, there's Gorn! This makes me appreciate the new ones more, because they're definitely inspired by straight Into the Mirror Darkly, which is good. Do they have spacesuits ever? The JJ Gorn?
Not in the game, no, because they're on board the ship, so they just beamed over. But there's a lot of good stills of these Gorn online. If you Google just 2009 Kelvin game,
2013.
Well, just type in Star Trek Kelvin game Gorn. You'll find a lot of pictures of them, and yeah, there's I that's the vibe I got instantly when I saw the spacesuit. So anyway, I think they're very similar. Samuel seems to disagree, but
yeah, there you go. But there is 4 Gorn for the price of 1.
Like I said, we'll have a more detailed breakdown coming up at some point.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
You know, that. Like I said, a black suit on a black set, in essence, doesn't equate to very details pop. But the close-ups are really good. You can definitely tell. And yeah, a man in a suit and a puppet face. That is a bold way to go, and I approve wholeheartedly. And I am now more excited to see Season 3's Gorn. Except you can't hear him talk, you can't interact with the crew, you can't do all these things as a canon. So but maybe we'll see inside a Gorn ship and several Gorn just chatting around coffee, some space coffee.
And speaking of chatting around coffee, there's a comment session down there. So whether you got your coffee in your hand or not, if you don't have one, go make one and comment down below, have a conversation with our community, and be sure to join us for lives where you can do the same thing in real time. So make sure you're subscribed and click the notification bell icon to all so you don't miss any of those lives where you can argue with us that this looks like something you're familiar with or not in real time. Come join us.
And while you've joined us, consider super chatting on live. Any donation helps a lot. It all amounts up, but any single amount does help. Or one-time donation at trekyards@hotmail.com. That is PayPal. Also with thanks. Click the button. It's right there. Or join another, but there's so many buttons. Join button. It's YouTube, Patreon, but on YouTube. Or join Patreon. It's Patreon on Patreon. Any amount a month helps a lot. So thank you in advance.
That's right. So until next time, he is Commander Khan.
He's Captain Foley. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.